Welcome back to Sunrise at 6:47. The House yesterday voted on 5 separate budget bills, and not one of them got enough votes to pass. But this morning, the Republican plan did pass. Representative Colleen Hanabusa joins us live from Capitol Hill. What was the vote on this bill? Did it get any Democratic votes at all?
The Ryan budget?
That's right.
Hi, Howard. I do not believe it got any Democratic votes, but the final vote was relatively close, 221 to 207, and I believe what we got on the people who voted against the bill were Republican votes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then there was another vote this morning, which was to approve the same bill that the Senate passed late yesterday,
right,
that avoids a government shutdown next week by authorizing extended spending.
That was a continuing resolution that the Senate sent back, basically with the major changes being the inclusion of about 3 different appropriation measures versus just the military plus veterans and military construction, which the House sent over. That vote had about 108 around there no votes and about 300 and some odd yes votes.
Do you read anything in that bipartisan margin of victory? Does it look like a few people are more interested than formerly in trying to work together?
You know, I think that the vote itself, and I happen to be a no vote on it, what it came down to was, for many of them that voted no, like myself, is that it really turned on sequestration. And the fact that what the CR did as it came back was reaffirm sequestration. And there were many of us who felt that sequestration without, in the present form, in other words, the one that cuts across all account lines, would be devastating for many of those agencies. Not only defense, because it doesn't afford them sufficient flexibility, but especially for those agencies that are continuing by resolution last year's budget. They are going to have to take those cuts across the board, and they're going to be very difficult to do.
And I'm assuming that this is going to be the status quo for a while, because even though the House passed a budget, it's going to be a long process before and if there's any kind of compromise there, yeah?
Well, you know, it's interesting because both the House passed theirs and the Senate passed theirs, which, if you remember the fiscal cliff bill, what that means, of course, is we can continue to collect our pay, because it was tied into if we passed a budget, but it didn't say that we had to agree to any budget. So the Patty Murray budget, which was called the Mulvaney budget in the House, failed, as you said, but it passed the Senate. And the Ryan budget passed the House, but it's not gonna make it in the Senate, especially with that very slim margin by which it passed. Remember now, the one thing that we all know about the Ryan budget, it's basically the same thing that we've seen for 3 years, which of course then means that, you know, people have had the opportunity to voice how they feel about this budget by voting in the last election, because it's the same budget that he's put out for 3 years now.
Our thanks to Representative Colleen Hanabusa speaking to us live from Capitol Hill for an update on this morning's House action. Thank you. Dan.
Thank you.